Following breaking news, a black man who was found guilty of attempted rape in 1977 has just been freed after a Louisiana judge ruled he did not get a fair trial. Vincent Simmons was serving a 100-year prison sentence for the attempted aggravated rape of twin 14-year-old girls. He was convicted by a jury of 11 white men and 1 black woman.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. In case you're new here, my name is Maren.
And I'm Maureen.
Yeah, so in today's episode, we're going to be reacting to a case that, to be quite honest, got me feeling very angry. And I really can't imagine how many people or how many families get affected by such cases and they have to deal with it, okay? So guys, imagine this, picture this, okay? Abominable as it sounds, you're back in 1970s, you start fancying your cousin, right? And then when you get caught, you start crying foul. You say that you were essayed by a black man, okay? Because that is the only thing that you believe is going to save yours and your cousin's skin. Yeah, so in today's episode, we are going to be looking at the story of Vincent, a black man who was wrongfully accused by 2 white twin sisters of essaying them, you know. So he spent over 40 years, actually he spent 44 years in prison paying for a crime that never occurred, all because these 2 white women wanted to cover the fact that they were cousin kissing with their cousin. Yeah guys, and we don't even want to get started with how they managed to convict an innocent man of this crime that never took place, disregarding completely his human rights and the right process to catch a criminal. Let's not talk too much. Let's watch this video and then we come back and talk about it. Remember, if you have anything to say, please leave it on the comment section and consider subscribing if you have not. Let's watch.
On May 22nd, 1977, Karen and Sharon Sanders, who are identical twin sisters, told police a black man asked them for a ride and raped them on a desolate road 2 weeks earlier. The next day, 25-year-old Vincent Simmons was taken into custody as he was walking down the street.
Did they ever give you a ride?
No.
Did you ever meet them at a gas station?
No, never. I didn't rape Karen and Sharon Sanders. I don't know these people.
The twins were asked to identify a suspect.
When I saw him in that lineup, I didn't have to think twice. When I looked at him, I knew him.
The man they identified was 25-year-old Vincent Simmons, who police arrested that day.
I'm sitting on the chair and handcuffed. When he gets through, he said, I want you to sign that. I said, what is that? He said, this is a confession saying that you committed this crime. I said, what crime? You know, he said, but those 2 white girls. I said, I don't even know these white girls.
That's insane. It's horrible. It disgusted me. Vincent Simmons is an innocent man who was railroaded by a racist system.
Less than 60 days after he was arrested, Vincent Simmons went on trial.
What was the evidence against him?
The testimony of the witnesses, the victims.
The twins testified that on the night they claimed they were raped, Vincent had told them his last name.
Believe it or not, all night long, we called him Simmons. He told us to call him Simmons.
When it was the defense's turn, Vincent took the stand.
I told the jury that I was innocent. I didn't rape nobody.
After a 2-day trial, the jury had its verdict. Vincent Simmons was found guilty of attempted aggravated rape.
I was shocked. Guilty. I ain't did nothing.
When the verdict came back, guilty, unanimously, how did that feel?
Sigh of relief. We knew we were free.
Vincent Simmons was sentenced to 2 consecutive 50-year terms, 100 years behind bars. From the moment he was found guilty, Vincent was determined to prove his innocence. More than 4 decades later, in January 2020, Justin Bonus, a lawyer from Brooklyn, New York, joined Vincent's defense and was immediately skeptical of the prosecution's case.
I looked at the discovery, I was like, well, everything they said at trial is a lie. It's all a lie. There's nothing that supports what they say.
Included in that discovery were the original statements the twins gave to police in 1977. Remember how at trial they said they knew his last name?
He told us to call him Simmons.
Turns out, when they first spoke to police, they didn't say that.
The girls initially went to police. They didn't say the name Simmons?
No,
What name did they say?
they didn't give a name.
Bonus also suggested a possible reason for the twins choosing Vincent from the lineup. In a photo that appears to show the lineup, Bonus noticed that Vincent was the only one wearing handcuffs.
When you saw that lineup photo, what'd you think?
What? I said, this is crazy. Nuts. Highly suggestive. When you put the cuffs on him, you're telling him that's who we want you to pick.
Here is part 2 to the case of Vincent Simmons. This is also a picture of the photo lineup that was part of the prosecution's file in his case. As you can tell, he is the only one that was handcuffed, which is suspicious. The prosecution claims that this picture was taken after he was identified in the lineup, but personally, I find that hard to believe. Karen and Sharon also deny that Vincent was in handcuffs when they did the lineup, but personally, this sounds to me like everyone's just trying to cover their own skin. In the year 2000, so after Vincent had been in prison for 43 years, a lawyer named Justin Bonus became involved in his defense, and it became his mission to free Vincent. Justin hired a private investigator, and this private investigator talked to one of Keith's cousin, Dana. I'm not going to try to pronounce her last name because I will absolutely butcher it, but Dana had a very shocking story. In a sworn affidavit, Dana told the investigator that Keith and Karen and Sharon had been on the road alone that night, and that Keith had locked Sharon in the trunk while he and Karen had consensual relations. Yeah. She says that Karen left scratches on his neck and that they made up this whole story of being essayed as a way to cover their own skin. Karen would admit in an interview later that her and Keith were having relations despite being cousins, but that night in particular, she had been assaulted by Vincent Simmons. But Keith would say the exact opposite and say that he and Karen had just played around like normal kids and nothing like that had ever happened. On February 14th of 2022, Justin Bonus would bring this evidence to the judge, and considering all the things that had been left out of the first trial and all the new evidence that had come to light, Vincent's charges were thrown out and he was released later that day. It was just 3 days before his 70th birthday. And on July 6th of 2022, he filed a lawsuit against the prosecutor claiming that they suppressed evidence and even fabricated evidence to make him look guilty. So I can't find anything on if he won this or not, or if it's still in the process, but I hope he wins and I hope he gets the $1 billion he's looking for because he deserves it. So what are your thoughts on this case?
So guys, welcome back. Please leave us a comment on what you think about this whole scenario. You know, I'm trying to imagine if these were two black women, two black twins, who were accusing a white man of essaying them. Would he have been apprehended and sentenced within 60 days the way this black man was sentenced within 60 days without any without any concrete proof, and just by the word of these two twin sisters, who, mind you, they were examined and even the doctor didn't find any evidence of them having been essayed by anybody. Right, and you know, I also blame the cousin because I feel like you should be able, if you're going to act on something, or if you're going to take a certain behavior, you have to be ready for the consequences. You understand? The cousin was 18 years old, the twins were 15 years old, and I'm not excusing them. Let's focus on the cousin. 18 years old, you're supposed to be an adult. You understand? So if you're ready to mess around with somebody, you might as well be ready to also receive the consequences. But it's just, you guys, it takes a special kind of human being to allow for an innocent person's life to be destroyed in the way they destroyed Vincent Simmons' life.
And you know, the worst part about this case is these two women, now grown and old, and they're ugly inside and out. You know, they're ugly inside and out. Them having reached this
Nebuchadnezzar old age, and they're still lying that this man, essayed them. And they have no remorse whatsoever. They show no remorse, There's also another story like this we covered of a famous author who lived in New York who wrongfully pointed out a wrong person who essayed her. The difference between that person and these two, I don't know from what creatures they are, because they're not women. The difference between these three white women was that the New York author actually apologized when she got caught. Whether she was genuine or not, she actually offered an apology. These two women, they are still keeping up with their accusations even after the court has rightfully so acquitted the man whom they accused wrongly of taking advantage of them. And you guys keep in mind that their cousin, the Keith guy, made a confession to his sister, Dana. He made a confession and said Vincent was never present that night, and it was just the three of them, and he was the one having relations with the Karen twin. And this confession, I feel like it would have, this man spent, for goodness sake, 44 years in prison. I feel like this guy would have come out sooner, and I feel like his own admission would have played a pivotal role in acquitting this guy sooner, because it was the statement, the witness statement of the two ladies that imprisoned this guy. And mind you, that was in a time where, how the system was designed, white rights were more upheld than black rights, So if a white person would just come out to cry anything and point at a black person, so long as they're pointing at a black person, that black person would receive the full wrath of the law.
The question that I'm asking is, because this Vincent is a very kind person. He forgave those two ladies. How he did it, how he managed to do that,
only God
knows. But he came out of prison and he was like, he had forgiven them. He really didn't hold anything against them, although he went on to sue the prosecution team. My question is,
he could have just sued the two women too,
so that they should have stopped jail time.
Yeah, they should have stopped defaming his character. He should have sued even the twins together with the prosecution.
Right. And the question that I'm asking is exactly what kind of compensation, because 44 years is a long time, and they took the best years of his life.
Yeah, because I understand he went to prison when he was 25 years of age and only came out when he was about to turn 70 years. I don't think he had kids. I don't think he was married. So they took the best years of his life away from him.
Right. So my question is, what kind of compensation is such a person going to receive? What are they planning to do to appease the 44 years this man lost? What are they planning to do with that? And you know what I ask myself right now is, guys, is that, when our subscribers, you guys, when you were mentioning that a lot of cases like this happen in America, I guess those of us who don't live in America don't really see the seriousness of this issue until we covered the first case where a man lost 40 years of his life for wrongful accusation. This is the second case we are seeing, and this is 44 years. So I'm asking myself, how many people of color or black people are sitting in prison right now, losing their lives, the best years of their lives, serving a term for a crime they've never even committed, for something they know nothing of? How many such people are sitting in prison right now?
Yeah, and another question I'd like to add on to your question is, Americans, black and white Americans, all of you who are watching this channel, what do you think, in your own opinion, are the steps that can be taken to curb or manage cases like these ones? Because we're in 2024, for goodness sake, what are the measures that can be taken to protect not only black men but men in general from such accusations? Because I'm glad that right now medicine has advanced to such a point where doctors can be able to prove whether a woman has been essayed or not, but still there is that part of corruption where a doctor can be corrupt to lie on behalf of a woman.
Another thing, what can be an effective way to make sure that
such people of such characters, and this I'm not even relating to white women only, but just women in general. Although white women, we have a lot of those cases where they incarcerate black men because they falsely accuse them.
Right.
But I'm saying such people who lie like this, what is the step that can be taken to make sure that they don't ever, that they serve as a lesson to the remaining population, that person who might think of using weaponizing, you know, essay towards
as
another
a weapon
person
against men,
yeah,
just because men don't love them, or because men
wanna
have
get
rejected
revenge,
them, or because they're just vengeful,
or because they're just lying to cover their, you know.
right? And another thing, guys, you know, this man was imprisoned without any evidence whatsoever. It was just a hearsay situation, you know. How many of you are familiar with the toolbox killer? The toolbox killer. This was a white man who killed toy box killer. This was a white man who killed so many women. He essayed and killed them, you know, and he also had tapes to prove that he was the one essaying and killing these women. He almost got away with murder despite all those lineup of evidence that was there. Yet, this black man, there was not even a single evidence to show he was anywhere near the vicinity of these two white ladies.
Just the what they say happened.
Yet, he was convicted within 60 days and sent away forever. Because 100 years is like a life sentence, you know? They gave him 50 years for the first lady, 50 years for the next lady. I don't understand.
Anyway, guys, let us know what you think about this episode. To be honest, I'm quite upset to even continue with this. And I feel like America needs to do better. The system needs to do better.
Although I feel like things will only change in America if, you know, the way there's that 1%, and we usually suspect more of that 1% are old white men. I think things will start changing if black people start penetrating that 1% circle, so that they can influence the policies that are being passed in America, so that they can protect other black people, you know. But right now, if white people, a majority of things that are being controlled are controlled by white people in America, they're the ones who are setting these policies that harm black people. I mean, I don't know.
Somebody somewhere created the system, and it seems to be working very well for to benefit them.
Yeah, and you know me, what really got me was there's another episode we did where we were addressing the 2025 project, and I was bewildered. I'm here in Africa, in Kenya to be specific, and I know some bits and parts of what Project 2025 is, but I was so shocked to see in our comment section other people did not know what Project 2025 was, so the easiest default for them was to blame us for spreading propaganda
and fear.
And I'm like, someone was also saying that Project 2025, it won't only affect Americans, and most especially black Americans, but it's also, they have also plans in there for Africa and Africans, you know. So that's why I'm saying, so long as, you know, palm-colored people are controlling the economy and they're setting the policies that affect the world, black people, this is the kind of treatment we will have to be subdued to for a very long time if we don't find a way to penetrate that very small circle of wealthy people, so that you can also influence policies that are being made.
Anyway, guys, let us know what you think about this episode. We are so grateful that you got the chance to catch us again. Let's see you on the next episode. Remember to subscribe if you have not, and if you have anything to tell us or any thoughts on this episode, please leave it on the comment section, and we appreciate you for tuning in.